Well, hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome into another episode of the Buddhist Biohacker. My name is Lisa Gunshore. I am your host and your mystic guide. And I am very excited because this is an impromptu show. So we decided to do this last week, and I am joined by Sheryl Cremeens, the Colorado herbalist, and Michele Snelling, the accidental aromatherapist. You guys both have like little fancy names, I guess, and I'm the Buddhist biohacker. So
Yeah.
so welcome.
Thank you for having us, Lisa.
Oh my gosh. So we want to talk about focusing our energy. And do either of you want to jump in with like why we even do this? And for everybody who's joining in the live, you can always comment and share questions or anything. I'd love to know anybody who's watching live if the full moon kept you up all night, because it's looking like in the app that a lot of the community was up all night. I know I was up all night. So anyways, so who wants to dive in?
I wasn't up all night, but my husband did wake up early, and I woke up when he woke up. So, which isn't typical, but like 4:30 maybe. So, not all night, but early for me. But I feel great, so it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was up at 12:30 and worked away for 8 hours this morning already. But I actually feel really good too. I feel really energized and motivated and inspired. And I think that's the weird thing about being creative, is that you tend to work weird hours sometimes. What about you, Sheryl?
I slept like I don't sleep well anyway, so it was normal. No, I mean, I'm feeling the full moon, but the sleep was normal. But I'm definitely feeling the not weird, but the energy from it.
Yeah, it's high
I
energy.
kind of like it.
I'm going to pull up the Schumann. I'm telling everybody in the app if you're not in a Jatakasa already, get in there, but I'm letting everybody know to come join our live.
Carrie looks like she had visitors.
Yeah, definitely.
Carrie commented it was like ancestor and soul pack night all night.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah, seriously.
And I was just going to say that, like, we're talking about focusing our energy tonight. And I do think that, as creatives, we are purposely woken up sometimes in the middle of the night to work on things because we can really focus. There are no interruptions. It's just quiet. There's peace. There's like this peace that comes, And when my kids were young, I used to love that. Like I would get up sometimes. I would like tell myself when I went to bed, like wake up at 2 a.m. to be up for like an hour or so that I could just enjoy that. Now that I have older kids, I'd have to stay up till like 3 a.m. get up. Our paths, it wouldn't work because they're up, but so I think that that's really, perfect for us talking about focusing our energy today,
Mm-hmm. I totally agree because, this came up. I'm trying to remember why we decided to do this show. I think it came up because we were talking about how our energy gets scattered in all sorts of different projects and even different accounts. Like we have different business accounts and social media accounts. And so I think this is why we got started was how do we focus our energy into what really matters and what even really does matter? Is that why? That's why we
and social media and how it goes out into the different social medias and where it kind of doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're pushed out into these different platforms and we can be diluted out so nobody's really seeing us, and we're pushed out to where our energy is not reaching where we need it to go because we're not meant to be there, or it's kind of like instead of a strong beam of energy, it's kind of little trickle because it's not supposed to go there, but we're being pushed there because of society, or people are saying, oh, you have to be there because everybody else is, or something like that. Yeah.
Yep. That's right. Well, and I really want to like go off about this because I As many of you know, I am like, okay, I'm not going to go on Instagram. So I haven't deleted my account, but I have like deleted the app off my device. So I don't have access to my Instagram. But when we talk about like the mind and how we get that monkey mind, right? We talk about it all the time in spiritual work and meditation and like clearing the monkey mind. But I had this thought about social media. We spend so much mind energy trying to figure out how to get each platform to work, on top of trying to decide even what platform. Like, there's multiple layers of that monkey mind, I think, rather than keeping it very simple. Like, if you're an artist, Instagram's great. It's for gallery posts, and you post these beautiful gallery photos, and or a photographer, whatever you are, right? Like, that's the point. And for me, with my work and as a writer, I'm making posts on Canva, I'm posting on Instagram, I'm trying to figure out how to do it cool. I want to have patterns. You're posting all this content. And part of why I pulled back is because I really had to look at what my intention was. And at the end of the day, I want to be a writer. I love doing this show too. So I'd say like film production is something I want to do as well, which is why I'm on YouTube. But like, as a writer, what do I really want people to do? Well, I want them to read my blog and I want them to buy my books, right? And so I think what I realized was my intention should really be laser focused on my mailing list and and blog articles. And then I'm spending all this time writing all this content for social media when really that's my written content to go on my blog. And so I think this is how I got tangled up in the focusing my energy, is because I spent like, I'm not kidding, I spent like 8 hours like mapping out how I was going to do my Instagram. And while that's creative and fun, that was 8 hours I should have spent doing something else. And I just realized, what do you guys think? I mean, where are you at with all of this? Because I definitely have had those moments where it's like, oh, should I, not be there? But then I think, you know what? I have to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to my guns on this.
I'll say something if that's okay.
Yeah, do it. Jump in.
Well, first of all, I think as sensitives, empaths, energetic sensors that we are, I think we already have a lot of information coming at us all the time. And then all of that just adds to it. So it just becomes more noise. It just becomes more things to distract us. And now, I think maybe now more than ever, it's uber important that we are very aware of the noise level and how we're getting distracted. And, we need to be focused, and we need to make sure that we're on the path that we want to be on. So all that extraneous noise doesn't help. And then just what you were saying, Lisa, it's like there's so much time and energy spent on it. And with, and I guess this is where everybody has to determine what the return is. But it's like, you really have to look at it and honestly and say, for the amount of effort that I'm giving, what's my return? And with the algorithms and things, you just never know. Like it's such a crapshoot anymore about who's going to see it, and it's just frustrating. It's a big source of frustration in a lot of ways. And so I think that we have to get clear. And then once you're honest and get clear about it, which of these are in alignment, first of all, which are giving you, honest return for your effort, then the fear comes in, I think. And then it's like, well, whether it's FOMO, fear of missing out, or just, but this is a potential way that people can find me, or, that I can reach them. But then you have to address that. That's that shadow work. You know what I mean? So I think it's really a tricky thing, but I think it's a conversation we all have to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also, there's a lot of people, not necessarily in our sphere of the spiritual work and all of that, who will tell you that you have to be on social media if you want your business to succeed, if you want to succeed in it. And they really, I mean, there's a whole business aimed at that for the small business people. And I've had friends tell me, well, you have to be on social media because how are you going to get clients and this and that? And then you get in your head that, oh my God, I have to post on all these different platforms to get these people. And then you get caught up in that and you get scared that you're not going to succeed if you're not doing all of this. And part of the problem is those social media platforms are making money off of you. So they perpetuate that thought process also. And from my experience, I've gotten nothing off of trying on Facebook or Instagram or anything for my business. But I do know there are people who do. So like you said, you have to really look at how you are doing it and what's working for you and what your intention is. Your business is not going to live or die based on social media. It's just not. They just want you to believe that because Facebook is going to make money off of you, whether your business lives or dies on it or not. They're going to make money off of you being there. And people are making money off of you buying their products on how to be on there too.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't that the truth?
yeah, they're trying to convince you have to be on there. You have to, and then you're buying their products, and then and it perpetuates. So you get caught up in it. So you really do have to sit back and think about what do I want? What's healthy for me? And what is my intention going out? Like, what do I want to project out also to the people I want to reach? And a lot of times because of the algorithms, you're not reaching those people anyway. So I am on Instagram. I don't do a lot on Instagram. I just enjoy it because I like the pictures and I like the colors and and I like the funny stuff and I like this. And but I'm not on there to promote my business. I'm on there to promote positivity, basically. So I repost other people's positive stuff or repost other people's good ideas. That's kind of how I do it. I know that's kind of weird when I have a business or I have a thing that I'm promoting somebody else's stuff. But for me, it's all about the greater good too, and helping somebody else find a good spot and a positive spot. And that's why I like Instagram. I go there and I enjoy it. So I hope to have somebody else laugh or somebody else say, oh, that made sense, or, something like that. But yeah, you just have to really know kind of what you want and not get caught up in somebody else's idea of what that is.
Yeah. Well,
and that went on for a long time.
It ties right into the topic of focusing your energy. Because like you said, you have a focused intention with what you're doing with that social media platform. And I think, we're kind of harping on social media, but I think it's with anything you're doing with your work is like, I'm the queen of like doing 16 different things at once. And so it's about, well, what is really my focus? And does my focus align with what I love? Because when we do something we love, we have energy and vitality. When we don't, we have none, and then we can't focus it either. And then we wonder why we're exhausted because our energy is scattered everywhere and to all these places we don't want it to be, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just because you can do a lot of things doesn't mean that you need to, or that you should, or that it's in your highest good. And that's really where, like back, just a comment about what Sheryl was saying, we've allowed the narrative about social media to override our intuition in a lot of ways. And as that's our job, is to be connected to our intuition and to know what's in our highest good, not because somebody tells us, but because we know it. And, that's really important. And I think if we remember that, and just like you said, Lisa, what are we spending our energy on? Because I had to really I've been doing this. I'm in the process of doing this, refocusing with my whole work, what I do, the parts that I love, the parts that I don't, getting really honest about that, first of all, and there's fear with that, because you're like, well, if I love this, but I don't love this, but people love this. So if I'm not offering this, then am I going to, like hurt myself in some way? But that's the point of this. That's, like you sharing things, Sheryl, on Instagram from other people. I don't see that as hurting your business. I see that as bringing abundance to the collective, which can only help us, right? So I don't know, but
that's it's kind of like, I was seeing this, I'm going through kind of the same thing, or I've been with, you see kind of like all these different, and I'll use the word cords because we think of energetic cords, going out to the different things you do, the different ideas you have, or projects or tasks you're doing. And you're like, I can't do all this. I just cannot, I've got too much going on. And you look at it and you're like, I have to bring it back in. I have to bring the energy fingers back in. And you're like, something's got to go. And when you think of it as this coming back into the 2 or 3 or 4, you look at it like, what I love, what is, what's my purpose? Like, what is really the point of this, of me doing this, and really sit with it. And am I doing it am I doing it just for the money? I don't like it, but I really think it's going to make me money. Well, your energy is really going to not thrive. Like, it's going to bring you down. It's like a job you go to 9 to 5 for the money, not a job you have to survive, but one you're just doing it just for the money. So there's a difference there. Just know that. It's eventually going to bring you down, and you're going to get sick, physically sick, probably. It's kind of like that. So if your energy is scattered, or if it's going to something that is not for the greater purpose or your higher purpose, it's eventually going to make you sick, physically or emotionally. And you really got to sit with it. I mean, and you got to bring all those fingers, all those cords back in, and be like, I was sitting there thinking, so I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I feel like I should do this. And I was like, but they don't make sense. Like, the way I was going, I was like, but they don't really connect. And what came to me was, this is a personal thing. It was, the phrase that came to me was, two paths to the same thing, basically. It was 2 paths to healing. So it was, the things didn't connect in my head. Like, they seem so different, but they both lead to healing for people in different ways. And I was like, oh, so I'm okay to put my energy in these 2 separate things that in my head didn't make sense, because they 2 paths to the same thing. And my point of that was, you got to really look at where it's going out, what it's doing, what the intention is and the purpose is, and be ready to let it go, because it's hard, but if you don't do it, it will eventually make you sick. And I know that from experience. It will physically make you sick.
Yeah. We all have our badges of honor in this group.
I mean, I literally I am at the same company, but the position I was in at that company literally almost killed me. So you got to be willing to let it go.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think it's important also because we're talking about work here a lot, right? And like, but we've got to be clear about where our energy goes just in life in general. Because
Yep.
I work with a lot of clients and I see this in myself. I mean, it's not like I'm immune. I'm human. But I hear people will talk about what their goal is for their life or what they want, right? What, like the essence or whatever, and they'll say, I want peace or I want simplicity. And then they're doing everything that's the opposite of simplicity or peace. And then they're wondering why it's not working. And it's just what you were saying, Sheryl, all those cords. When you've got all that stuff and you're putting all this energy into things that are the opposite of simple or whatever, I'm just using those as an examples, but, and I have to do that every once in a while when I start feeling like, oh, like with where I'm at right now with these physical things that I'm going through, it's like my priority has to be my healing. But it's very easy for me because of old patterns I've been in of caregiver and helper and whatever you want to call it to like put myself last, right? And then it 2 days can go by and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't really done anything for myself in 2 days. Like, how is this, right? But it happens because overgiving, we can be in that pattern, and that's overgiving in anything. Our energy, our time, our focus, it always equals under receiving. There's no option but that, always. So
Yeah, there's that it's not a story example, in of the oxygen mask. Put your oxygen mask on first before you help somebody else. You
yep.
always got to take care of yourself first, because if you're sick or in bed or dead, you can't help anybody else. You can't help your children. You can't help your spouse or significant other. You can't walk the dogs. You can't help, and you can't do it if you have not taken the time for yourself. If you haven't got enough sleep, if you haven't eaten, if you haven't gone kickboxing, if you're mad or something, you know what I mean? You just can't help somebody else. So you got to do it first. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, when you're looking at all the energy things, make sure this one's taken care of first.
Mhm. You ladies are so wise, and it's all so true. I mean, I love the discussion of the energy cords and where they're going. And what had come up for me, there's this Tao Oracle deck that I used to have. I'm gonna have to get it again because I keep thinking about it, how that goes. But it was really beautiful, and it had this one particular card where this water was going all over the ground, and the description of the card was, when you pour water onto the earth and it scatters, it dissipates into the earth and it's gone.
Yeah.
But when you look at a, 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 the water going in a steady flow, focus flow, becomes this mighty river. And that really has come up for me over and over again in the last month is, am I really bringing my energy into a single focus, or am I focusing in different areas? And this goes back to like old school, The Secret and the law of attraction is, or even in a magical ritual, right? If you're trying to manifest something, if you're manifesting 15 things, it's not going to happen, right? And so I think for me, that's really where my focus has been. And I think all three of us are in the same boat. And I think a lot of our community is in the same boat. And I can see that from even the comments here. So welcome in, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for
We're all
all
in
being
the
there.
same boat where we're refining, right? We're refining our businesses, our practices, our spiritual work. We're refining who we are. We're refining our talents. We're refining our websites. We're refining our social media. We're refining our link trees. Whatever we're doing, we're refining it. And I think in that refinement, it's like, oh, I need a single pointed focus. And I love what you brought up, Sheryl, about how both paths, both things you're doing are leading to healing, because that's really what came to me with my own work was all of the work that I do is for this one mission, right? It's to generate compassion and nonviolence. It is to support awakening and healing, And so with that single pointed focus, it's like, well, how can I really, what is it I'm really trying to do with my work? And who am I trying to reach? And for me, in all of the years of doing this business, and I don't know about you guys, and spiritual work is different probably from other businesses. And I know there are businesses that are social businesses and they need to be on social media and all those things. So I'm not going to bash or harp on that, but I'm just going to share directly my own experiences. It's all word of mouth.
Yeah. Amen.
All the great clients I've had, all the business I had, all of you watching here on YouTube, it's word of mouth, right? You've heard about the channel from somebody, you heard about me from somebody, right? It's all word of mouth. And so I'm really going back to that. Like, who are my clients? Who is my community? We have this incredible community. And so I'm really diving into this focus of, I really want to just invest in my community because it's my community that gives back to me if I give to them. It's not often that any ad I've ever paid for doesn't do anything, And it goes back to what we're doing, because the work we're doing is personal touch, it's a personal connection, and it's you have to get deep in less than an hour. And everybody's different. Again, somebody may be an artist or whatever. I'm doing this film work, and so my YouTube channel is a great place to share the film and the documentaries and things that I'm working on. But the point is that water, bringing it into this streamlined focus where you're really focusing. And I think that's true for your personal work as well. It's like, I have 4 kids, like, what am I going to focus on today? It's like, and last week, yes, I, did work while they were at school, but my focus when they were here was like them. And that was it. It was a single pointed focus. It's like, I'm going to get them to their activities. I'm going to spend time with them. I'm going to make sure that I'm there because I have been working too much and they've called me on it. And so I think it's important to think about, if you put lots of tentacles out there, it has nowhere near the force of energy that focused light of energy has. And I love what Claire's saying. Self-care is a responsibility we must accept as divine beings and healers. We have to truly take responsibility for ourselves, our body, mind, and spirit. Really, that's absolutely.
Yeah. And I've had a wake up call in the last several years because, and I mean, I know I have a lot of patterns that I've had to work on personally, like with being the caregiver or the overgiver, feeling like I need to be available to everyone all the time, right? Like setting a boundary for my work has been one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life because it's just doesn't feel natural to how I've been living, but it feels so incredible once I've done it. But the thing that is so interesting to me is we've got to really choose one thing. Like, let's take our personal selves with either personal work, whatever. We've got to choose one thing that we want to work on. But what we tend to do is choose 15. You know what I mean? It's like, let's do all the things. And then that's where that dissipated energy comes in. We can't, that doesn't work. So you choose one thing that you want to work on, one thing. It's like, when I started this healing journey, I knew I was going all over the city, all over everywhere, looking for somebody to help me. And then it's like, and I was exhausted. And so it's like, I had to rein all that in and go, what do you really want to do? What's your focus going to be? And it was the anti-inflammatory diet. That's where I had to start. I was doing it, but it wasn't as it wasn't as powerful because my energy wasn't focused. You know what I mean? And so I chose 2 things that I would allow, you know what I mean? And then And that has helped so much, but we tend to just go, I'm going to do it all instead of just going the one thing or the two things. That's how we enact great change, So,
Yes.
That's awesome you say that, because when I was going through the mold issues and had all those neurological symptoms, I did the same thing. And all of a sudden I was sitting in my kitchen and it's like I was cooking Chinese herbs and I was taking all these supplements from this, and then I had my Ayurveda spices and all these different things. And I realized that I was using all these modalities and I wasn't committing to a process of healing. And I came to the same conclusion. It was like, okay, I need to clear all this stuff out of the way. And I need to just take care of myself with my diet first and see where that leads me. And ultimately that led me into Ayurveda. But it's real easy to get to spin when you're spinning out to all of a sudden do 15 different things. Same with your business, right? Like if you're stressed about money, it's easy to try 15 different things. Because you're freaked out instead of just saying, listen, I'm going to win at this one thing.
I'm going to give all my energy, all my focus to this one path. And right now, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And see where it goes. And I think that, I think to be successful, this is what I'm learning, it's process, right? I'm not done, but, I think to be successful in life, that is what it is. It's the day to day and it's the small things. So it doesn't matter if that's your business, your physical health, your spiritual health, a relationship, whatever it is. You've got to give it the time and attention it needs. And that requires focus.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. That's right. And also things don't happen or change overnight. Most people, I don't think anybody literally became famous overnight. You hear them and everybody's like, oh, overnight sensation, but they've been doing it for like 20 years. You just didn't hear of them.
Yes.
And if you're trying to change your health, well, you've had 30, 40, 50 years of you being alive that you're trying to change, so it's going to take a while. So you got to focus it
and be committed.
Yeah.
And be committed.
Yes.
I mean, I had the most beautiful compliment from Colette Barron-Reed last year. We were having a conversation and I was telling her that I was taking my in-person grown-up timeouts virtual. And she was saying, this is amazing. I'm proud of you. And you're doing it the right way because, she knows how long I've been at this. And she's like, you haven't expected overnight anything. You've just been doing it and continue to do it and committed to it. She's like, people nowadays want success immediately. And if it doesn't come, they give up. Mm-hmm. And, I think there's a lot to be said for that. Like with anything, I mean, and you have to be committed. You just do it. You just, and put the time and the effort and the focus. Because I know like I can tell in life when my energy is all scattywampus or whatever you want to call it, when it's going too many different directions, there isn't one part of my life that feels right. Mm-hmm. Like my relationship, maybe I don't feel as connected to my husband, or I'm not having the conversations with my kids. The business isn't coming in like it normally, I mean, you can tell, we can all tell if we take a minute to just stop and really get clear.
Yeah. And actually for me, I just went through this where, I could not focus. Like I had not a whole bunch, but I had stuff I needed to do and I could not do it. I literally could not. It was the weirdest thing because I could sit down and it had squirrel, and I was managing to do a whole lot of other stuff, but not what I needed to do because I wasn't focusing my energy properly. And then also with me physically, because I also have physical issues, surprise, I physically get exhausted. it's not exhausted, like you haven't slept enough. It's a whole nother thing. And that happens. And so when my energy is scattered in other ways, my body basically shuts down and I cannot function. I sleep a lot, and basically I can't think straight either. So for me, it started off with not being able to focus, and then all of a sudden my body was like, well, we're not able to do anything. And for about 2.5 days, I literally could not function. So yeah, so listen to yourself and realize what's going on so you can pay attention to it and bring it back in too before it gets worse, I guess, is a way of saying that.
Yeah. Well, and that's
it'll
why mindfulness is so important, because you have to check in with yourself. And I do the same thing, Sheryl. Like, for me, I gain weight. Like, that's what happens. I start to like bloat and gain weight. And because I'm not moving my body, I'm not moving my energy. And I let it go too far in the last 6 months with all the work I was doing. And it was purposeful work. But when I stopped to do that pulse check and become mindful, it was like, oh, I've spread myself too thin and I've taken too much on. And when I take too much on, it physically manifests in my body as I've taken too much on physically.
Literally.
Exact same thing.
Yeah.
And then I have to go through the process of unwinding. And what fascinates me about that is the exercise, because the exercise is literally shaking and moving energy out of the body. That's what it is. And so there's this real need for me to do that. And I'm recognizing now more than ever, I just kind of had this aha moment for myself in the last couple of weeks, which is I take on a lot of energy from people, from the planet, from the work that I do, and I have got to move it out. Like, even if I want to sit all day, I just can't. And so I'm really starting to understand, like, and embrace this different way of living and being active. And it's not that I'm not like, it's not that I don't exercise or whatever, but the point is I'm Vata Kapha, and the Vata is like on, meaning Vata is very like high energy, people who usually are running marathons and things like that. And the Kapha always gets me where I don't want to do any of that because the Kapha wants to lay around. And I'm really starting to see things differently in the last couple of weeks of like, no, I actually need to physically move and get this out of my body. Like, this energy isn't even mine. So there's this idea of, when we talk about focusing your energy, I think it's also about understanding what energy you need to bring in, what energy you need to clear out, and doing that in a focused way too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen. And like I said earlier, we're sensitives, we're empaths, whatever you want to call it. And it's like one thing that I've really I've known it on some level, but for myself, I've really had to like have the conversation with myself about just what a conduit I am, or a receiver of energy of all sorts. I've known I'm a conduit for people. I've known that because talk to the dead people, and I take on energy from other people. But it's not just that. It's like it's the vibrations, the frequencies everywhere. Like I feel different when I go into an electronics store than I do if I go into a grocery store. You know what I mean? It's like, and those are things that we have to be aware of. We have to know ourselves and what affects us. And then just what you were saying, Lisa, how do we get rid of this? How do we move that energy? And it is so important, and these things like, things that I've learned from you, Lisa, like the infrared saunas. I mean, I cannot believe how much better I feel when I go to those, when I go do a sauna treatment. It is like amazing, and even just sitting in the sun now that I've done the infrared saunas and I sit in the sun, it's like I'm noticing the same things. You know what I mean? Like I can feel the same sensations in my body that probably were there before, but I didn't realize it. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't tuning in and focusing. So, it's just, and I just want to say one other thing there. In the last several years, in a few of my communities that I'm in, there have been some amazing healers that we've lost from physical things, cancers and things like that. And some of the people I know very personally didn't really take care of themselves very well. You know what I mean? And it's easy to get in that mindset. I hate to say it as a male versus female, but I think there is a belief system in our society with women that we are the caregivers and we need to take care of people. And, I hope that that's changing for these new generations, that they're realizing that they need to take care of themselves first from the get-go, not learning it after the fact, like some of us. But, we have an important role here in the world. And just like what Sheryl said with the oxygen mask, if we're not here, we can't help anybody. So our goal is to help people. And, like Claire said, it's our responsibility. We have to do this. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't want to die young. I mean,
right.
There are many psychics and healers who leave the planet, and I would like to be in the group that is more in the biohacking community where we live to some crazy long age of 111 or something. And that's not going to happen if I'm eating ice cream, and even if it's coconut milk ice cream.
And I also want to say that I also want to enjoy the life we have on this planet and be able to walk on my own and laugh and go out and things like that as I age. And if we take on too much now, younger, not just not take care of our physical bodies, but if we take on too much energetically too, our physical bodies will not be able to handle it. So then we're fighting that, and and as you said, tend to not also take care of ourselves physically because we're taking on too much energetically. We're also not going to be able to enjoy life as much as we can as we age. And not just in the moment when you're stressed out and doing too much and letting time go by and not being able to laugh or forgetting to maybe, if you have young children, laugh with your child and play, or if you, miss a wedding or something, what the life moment things, because you were too busy. But also you have the stress and you're not getting outside to play yourself or go, walk barefoot in the grass or hug a tree or something like that, or go, something random. My point being, as we age, we need to enjoy it, and we don't want to be crippled. And I say this in a way just because my mom died younger than she should have, probably was not able to do the things she enjoyed because she didn't take care of her body. And as a community, I want all of us to be able to, as we age, to be able to enjoy it, to laugh, to have fun, to see the joy in our world, and to just be able to get out and do that. And now, as we not take on too much of other people's energies and bring in our own energy and focus it, we'll be able to, I don't know the right word. I was going to say expand. That's not the right word. Be freer. Mm-hmm. And our bodies and our self will be able to just live, and it'll be good. And I just wanted to say that because a lot of this taking out everybody's energy and not being able to let it go, and also taking on too much ourselves, it wears us down. And as we age, it really is not good. So when you see a lot of older people, and not elderly, I'm talking 50, 60-year-old people who cannot walk, who are, a lot of them are morbidly obese and have a lot of chronic illnesses. A lot of that wasn't just because they didn't take care of their bodies. Some of it's because they took on too much too. Taking care of other people took on too much stress and energy when they were younger, and it just, was too much. So that was my rant. I want us all to enjoy life and laugh and have fun.
Well, isn't that our purpose for being here?
Yeah.
is to find joy and love. I mean, and I think it's important because, we're talking a lot about the physical body, and that is so important. But I also think one thing that I've been really working on is the mental and the emotional quotient part of it too. And like being in your app, Lisa, and thinking about nonviolence and compassion, that's like it initially when I was really thinking about how that applies to my life and where that is, my focus was on me being compassionate and nonviolent with other people. And then one day I was hearing, like, somehow I went into the observer mode with my brain, and I'm like, oh my God, like, you are being so violent with yourself and so not compassionate, like in that self speak. And so, they go hand in hand. Like,
Yes.
I've had a really emotional week the last week because we had a celebration of life for a young person. And, I had French fries like maybe 2 or 3 times because I was out, and it's all I wanted. Like, and I was like, literally, if I have to eat another salad, I might throw it at somebody. You know what I mean? Like, just in this moment, it's like I needed comfort. And so I sat there and I had a little conversation in my head, and I'm like, I will let myself order these fries, but if you eat them, are you going to beat yourself up after
Right.
for a long time? Or are you going to be thankful for them and receive them with gratitude and enjoy them? Enjoy with these fries. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can do that. So I did it and then moved on. You know what I
Right.
mean? I
And
didn't
that's enjoying
switch.
life.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
and it's not like that wasn't giving myself permission. Oh, now you can eat junk every day. No, but it's like in that moment, we need to know where we're at. And like I said, I needed that, like, there's just times that we need that food to give us like a hug from the inside. And I didn't eat like, massive French fries. I
Right.
ate like 10, but anyway, so I think we got to think about the whole person when we're focusing our energy, and
Yes.
that compassion and nonviolence. I think we can be super hard on ourselves and we don't realize it sometimes. So
We
Man,
still have the tapes from our childhood, a lot of us, in our heads
yes.
too, about that. And I think
Mhm.
a lot of that harshness comes from that,
Yeah.
totally.
with the French fries and the ice cream. And I think a lot of us, especially in this community, we know, and we're working very hard to eat the right things and to be healthy. It's those tapes that tell us you cannot have those fries ever again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can. And we know we're not going to eat them every day.
Yeah.
We just need to love
Yeah.
ourselves more, because we're all good.
Absolutely.
We're
We are,
good. We're
and we're all
perfect the way
doing
we are.
the best we can.
Yeah.
Like,
And we're all
and we're,
beautiful.
yeah,
I mean,
we are.
really, we are.
This sparks. So this past week, for those of you who haven't watched my vlog, I've gained like 17 pounds since 2020. Like in the last year, because I've been sitting here on YouTube rather than going outside. Let's face it, that's a lot of it. But that's been really hard for me because, I lost 100 pounds in the last decade, and I did a lot of inner work around that. It wasn't like I went on a diet. Like, I changed my entire lifestyle, and some of that was to survive and to heal. And so I was like under the gun. And the more that I've learned about my body and what it needs and how to support it, I'm not under the gun. I don't have those symptoms anymore, thank goodness. I mean, I'm grateful for that. But I've really been struggling with, this idea of food addiction and my weight and, why am I just still carrying this crap on my body? Like, why is this still an issue? Like, how much more shadow work can I do? How much more exercise can I do? I don't eat wheat. I don't eat dairy. I have 22 food allergies I manage. Like, come on. Like, what's the deal? And so I did a meditation it's just a few days ago. It's real fresh. And these incredible beings, been working with a lot of ultra terrestrials, came in the meditation, they came and they told me that I didn't feel safe. Oh, and for some reason, this is making me emotional. So they said that I didn't feel safe. And so I eat to feel secure. I eat to feel like I'm safe, that I have abundance. Like, it's really linked to my financial energy too. Like, when I don't feel like I have abundance, or I'm, working a lot for very little, I tend to eat. And I can't say I'm an overeater. I just eat the wrong things. So I'm going to eat the gluten-free pancakes and muffins, and I'm going to eat, the hamburger with the gluten-free bun, but it's still a burger and fries, right? Like, it's still those things. And so they did some work with me and did some work with my heart chakra, and it was really potent, about it. You're safe. Like, you don't have to do this anymore. And so we'll see what manifests from that, because it's really new. So I don't think it's integrated in my system yet. But what you guys are bringing up and about being violent with yourself, we do take on a lot, especially as healers. And I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for what we take on, because we don't even know what we're taking on. Because I have lucid dreams. I mean, I have them every night, but like the last couple of weeks, I've had people in the community, people I know, people that have been on my show in my dreams, and I'm helping them and talking to them and doing things with them. So that's like a Mac ton of energy that I'm taking on. That's not even like people coming into an office or getting on a Zoom call. So we've all this energy we're taking on all the time. And, just like you're saying, giving yourself permission to like enjoy something good, even if it's not healthy, is also giving ourselves permission to like give ourselves space and say, listen, I've taken on too much. Like, I need some space and some time. And, I did that this month, and let it be a lesson to everyone, because it's taken me the whole month and I still have a very long to-do list. But what's happened is in working on getting organized and catching up, and all that feels good, but it's also the realization of how much I actually took on. I hadn't taken inventory of all of that until I stopped and really looked at what I was taking on and what I want to continue doing. And so I think those pulse checks, those mindfulness practices, is getting present with yourself, is really, it's important. I love everybody's comments too. Struggling to get healthy with food, for sure. PJ says, I was told we also want to taste the sweetness of life when we self-medicate with food, for sure. And the sweetness of life, not being able to enjoy the sweetness of life, is the manifestation of diabetes too. So that's something for everybody to realize, is like, that's the struggle, right? That a lot of us end up having.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, it's about compassion with ourselves, like we've been talking the whole time. Like I said earlier, we want to do it all. We want to make the change all in one big thing, but it's those small things. We pick the one or two things that are the most important that we want to focus our energy. And then we've got to do it with kindness, and compassion, because that's how we raise the vibration and the frequency. We start with us, right? It can't just be about us helping everybody else to do it. So,
Yep.
and Lisa,
All
I
of us have to
appreciate
start here first.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say thank you for sharing that about the safety, because I think that is a common feeling with healers, is not feeling safe,
Yeah.
because we're not really, there's not a lot of education about it. I mean, we didn't grow up, all of us who have had this, connection with the spiritual realm from the time we were born. It's not like we went to school and had a class on how to do it, or that it was normal, or that, you know what I mean? It's just kind of been this thing that we've done in spite of it being very different and whatever. And so I think there's a level of not feeling safe, and with time, and I mean, just being open to these other realms. It's all just like, there's levels of not feeling safe within it, but we're the only ones who can allow ourselves to feel safe, right? That doesn't come from outside of us. It doesn't come from the food. It doesn't come from the money. It doesn't come from the house, the friends, and any of it. So
yeah. Remember that it is your body, it is your energy, it is you. So nobody else, you have to give permission for anybody to have any sort of control over you in any way. So take back that sovereignty of yourself, your being, in all ways, and love that. I mean, just hug yourself, basically, because it's yours. You are yours. Makes sense. But do you know what I'm saying? So you are the only one that has control over that, and start owning that, because you don't have to allow anybody else, their energy or anything, to come in, and it can be a process, it can be a relearning experience, but you can control it, and you can say, nope, I'm not allowing anything else to come in. I'm me, just me, and this is it, and I'm going to own it. Yeah.
You're so good, Sheryl. So
like
good.
that.
Before we close, because it's already been an hour, I feel like this conversation, maybe we should do this again soon, because I feel like we could continue this conversation. It's really powerful with the three of us. I did want to share with everybody, we had the full moon yesterday, and I did pull up Schumann resonance, and it's 62 today.
Oh. It's a super pink moon too.
That could be why I was up at 12:30 this morning and haven't slept. So if you guys are having a lot of intense energy, or you couldn't sleep, or I know some of you guys, I know Carrie was sharing she had relatives visiting her in the night, whatever you're feeling, you could also feel the opposite. You could feel really fatigued too, or irritable or frenetic. 62 is high. I mean, that's a pretty decent spike in Schumann. So just FYI for everybody out there. And just a reminder, if you're not in the Ajata Casa app, you're missing out, dude. Like, get in there, download it. It's on Apple, Google, web, doesn't matter. AjataCasa.com. You can just search Ajata Casa in your app store. But I'm all for continuing this conversation in the Buddhist Biohacker Forum. So I'll post something here today, and we can keep talking about this, because it seems like we've gone all over. We started with social media, and we're talking about food addiction. So we really needed to have this talk. Yes. Yeah. Do you ladies want to share where everybody can find you?
Yeah, I can. I am at my website's coloradoherbalist.com. And I am also on the Ajata Casa app. I have a page on there, Colorado Herbalist. And I am on Instagram, at Colorado Herbalist. And I think that's it. I don't think I forgot anything. Sorry.
So I am Michele Snelling, obviously, and you can find me on the Ajata Casa app. I have a page called Practicality and Magic, and I'm on Instagram at Michele Snelling, Michele with 1 L, Snelling with 2. You can also find me on my website, michellesnelling.com. So
Awesome.
and YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel.
Oh, I do
yeah.
too. I do too.
Yes. Please
Sorry.
subscribe. Please subscribe to both
Yeah.
Michele Snelling's and the Colorado Herbalists YouTube channels. And
Yes.
if you haven't subscribed to Buddhist Biohacker, please do that as well. And again, we'll see you guys in Ajata Casa. I am back this afternoon at 1 p.m. here on Buddhist Biohacker with Delisa Hawking and Nikki Allen. And we are going to be sharing mediumship information from Princess Diana and Al Capone and a few other characters. So it should be a fun afternoon. Nikki
connected with her.
I know. And Nikki's funny. So, not that Delisa isn't either, but Nikki's a hoot. So I'm
I love her. She's hilarious.
She's really funny.
Might have wet my pants a little bit with her. She cracks me up.
She is really funny. No, she is. So I'm excited for that this afternoon. And so I will be back for that. And then I do believe I also Buddhist Biohacker. We have our Diamond Beauty, Krista Pashonik, is going to be with us on Thursday afternoon. So that's what we have lined up for the rest of the week. And thank you to all the members of the YouTube channel. Our space circles will be announced soon for those of you who are members on the channel for the Starseed membership. And Michele and Sheryl, I love you both so very much. And thank you for doing this today.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. I love it. And thank you, Sheryl, for being here.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody, for joining.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.